Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from section 1, and our project title is The Impact of Smartphone Addiction and Its Consequences on Academic Performance. So, in my group, we are five members, myself, Jamil Muhammad Asif, Kalimullah, Muhammad Sohel, Muhammad Amar, and Ashraf Muhammad Aman. So let's go to our project objective. So for our project objective, firstly, we will investigate the relationship between daily smartphone use and academic performance. Secondly, we will investigate how smartphone addiction affects a students' attention span, study habits, and ability to meet the academic deadlines. And thirdly, we will determine how smartphone use affects a students' academic performance, including CGPA and grades. So for our project, we have selected three research questions. The first one is there any correlation between severe smartphone addiction and academic performance among students? Second one is there any relation between smartphone use before bedtime and the quality of the sleep, and how does this affect academic performance? And third one is, does a smartphone addiction lead to lower concentration and reduce learning retention during a study session? So for this research question, we have made three research hypotheses. The first one is students' academic performance depend on their level of smartphone addiction. Second one is a student who use a smartphone before bedtime are most likely to experience poor sleep quality and patterns which affects their academic performance. And third one is students with higher smartphone addiction have lower concentration and learning retention during study session. So so let's go to our methodology part. Here we have made our survey by the Google form, and we have collected total 100 responses, and all of the responses are from the university student, and we have distributed our Google Forms by the social media, for example, WhatsApp, Telegram, and in the variable section, we have for the independent variable, we have selected the smartphone addiction, and the dependent variable is here the academic performance. So for the statistical method, we have calculate the mean, median, mode, run test, Chebyshev's theorem, hypothesis testing, standard deviation, variance, everything that we will discuss in our next part. So let's go to our preliminary analysis. This part will be explained by the Sohel.
So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Sohail Mashukri with my number 2310779. I'll continue the next part, which is the preliminary analysis. So, let's get straight to our point, which is here is an example of this the survey question we have in our survey. We have a total of 13 questions, and these are a few of the question of the sample of the question that we asked them, which is the gender, the academic level, the average academic performance. They are often feel by distraction by smartphone use for studying, how often they skip studying or reduce their time to study due to smartphone use. Okay, so let's get straight to our first part, which is the analysis on how many hours per day students using the smartphone based on their CGPA. So I'll show you, here is the table, shows that total number of respondents that we have. We have total of 100 respondents, and we divide them by two part, which is the first one is those with less than 3.5 CGPA and those with more than 3.5. So I focus on those with less than 3.5 CGPA. Okay, first one, which is the mean. Okay, so to calculate this mean, we use this formula, and we got the mean, which is a 4.67. So this shows that those with CGPA less than 3.5 spend an average of 4.67 hours per day on their smartphone. That's what the mean we get is, which is the average. And the next one, we go to the median. So what is the median formula? So this is the formula that we use, L plus N over 2 minus B over G times VW. And we get the median is 4.5. So we show that 50% of the students use less than 4.5 hours of their smartphone, while others 50% use more than 4.5 hours. Okay, next we go through for the mode. Okay, so for getting the mode, we use this formula, which is L plus Fm minus 1 over Fm minus Fm minus 1 plus Fm minus Fm plus 1 times VW. And we get the mode is 4.14. So This show that those students with CGPA less than 3.5 is the most time that they use is 4.14 hours per day. Okay. Uh, so next we have the variance and standard deviation. To get the variance, we use this formula which is S square equal to n times with frequency times with midpoint square minus frequency times with midpoint and square divided by n times n minus 1. So we get the standard deviation is variance is 2.61, and to get standard deviation is square root of the variance, which is we got 1.61. So what the variance show is, even though there's variety of students that use different times, average times of smartphone use per day, but um, the value is not that widely dispersed because of the calculation of variance. And the next one, the standard deviation, which is 1.61. This means that most students with a CGPA less than 3.5 spend 3 to 6 hours per day on their smartphone, which is within one standard deviation of the mean. Alright, next one we have the Chebyshev theorem. First, we use k equal to 2, and we got that equal to 0.75, which is 75% of the data lies within two standard deviation from the mean, and the range that cover is we calculate it by using this formula. We got it the 1.45 until 7.89. Next is 4k equal to 3. We got the value is 0.8889, which is 88.89% of the data lies within 3 standard deviation of the mean. So, and the range cover is this one and this one, which is minus 0.16 and 9.5. And I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ammar Shahmi bin Shahruddin with metric number 2212249. Okay, now we continue with students that get a CGPA more than 3.5. First, we have mean. So, the mean, we use this formula to get 2.9 for the mean. So, this include that the students with a CGPA above 3.5 spend an average of 2.9 hours per day on their smartphones. This shows that the higher performing students generally spend less time on their phone, suggesting that they manage their time better and avoid any distraction from their phone. So next we go to median. So for the median, we use this formula, which is L plus in the bracket N divided by 2 minus B divided by G times with W. So we get a 2.375 over here. So for the median of the smartphone users is 2.375 hours per day. It means that the half of these students use their phone for less than 2.375 hours per day, while the other half use them more than 2.375 hours per day. So next we go to mode. So for mode, we use this formula L plus Fm minus 1 divided by Fm minus 1 plus Fm minus Fm plus 1 times with W. So we get a 1.83. So for the mode, the most common daily smartphone uses among these students is 1.83 hours, which falls in the range 1 until 2 hour range. This reinforces the idea of that the high performing students typically spend their limited time on their phone so that they can do other that benefit to their, like for example like study. So next we go to variance. So variance, formula for variance, we use this formula, which is S square equal to N in bracket total frequency times with midpoint square minus total frequency times with midpoint in bracket square divide by N times with N minus 1. So we get a 3.08. So for the variance of 3.08 indicates that a moderate spread in how much time students spend on their phones daily. So next for the standard deviation. So basically standard deviation, we square it for a variance to get a standard deviation. So we get 1.75. So, with a standard deviation of 1.75, most students' daily smartphone usage falls between 1.15 and 4.65 hours, calculated as a 2.9 plus minus 1.7 hours per day. This shows that moderate variability around the average usage of students with CGPA 3 more than 3.5 is 2.9 hours. So next we go to Chebyshev theorem. So based on this calculation above, the mean of the data is 2.9 and the standard deviation is 1.75. So we use the k equal to 2. So we get a zero. We use the formula to get a 0.75 equal to 70% of the data lies within two standard deviation from the mean. So for the range, we get a negative 0.6 and 6.4. So for the k equal to 3, we get around 0.889. So change into the percentage, we get 88.89% percent of the data lies within the three standard deviation of the mean. So the range they cover that, which is negative 2.35 and also 8.15. So we can include that at least 75% of the students spend between negative 0.6 and 6.4 hours per day on their smartphone. And also at least 88.89% of students falls within negative 2.35 to 1.5 hour. This demonstrates that the most students show the moderate variation in the smartphone uses. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Amin Ashraf. My metric number is 2325825. Today I'll be presenting the result of a study on the impact of smartphone usage before bed and focus during morning class. This topic is important because smartphones are a big part of our lives, but they might be affecting our productivity and well-being. Our goal is to analyze data to understand patterns of usage and their potential effects on focus. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To gather insights, we conduct a survey and ask two key questions. How long do you typically use a smartphone before going to bed? You feel less focused during morning classes after using a smartphone late at night. The second question had two options, yes or no. These questions helped us understand both the duration of smartphone usage and its perceived impact on focus. Data collected. Here is the data we collected from the survey. Usage time was categorized into 5 intervals, 1 to 30 minutes, second one 31 to 60 minutes, third one was 61 to 90 minutes, the fourth 91 to 120 minutes, and last 120 minutes to 150 minutes. For each interval, we recorded the number of participants who answered yes and no to the focus question. For example, in the 1 to 30 minutes category, 7 people said yes to feeling less focused, while 19 people said no. As usage time increased, the number of yes responses generally increased, showing a trend. Let's dive into the numbers and what they mean. For me, we use this equation, and what we got was 66.41 minutes. The mean is the average time participants spend on their smartphones before bed. This value shows that, on average, most people use their phone for just over an hour. The next one is median. The equation we use, and the median is 65.5 minutes. The median is the middle value when the data is arranged in order. This tells us that half the participants use their phone for less than 65.5 minutes and the other half use them for more. Mode 64.25 minutes. The mode represents the most frequent usage time in our data. This shows that around 64 minutes was the most common usage among participants. The next one is variance. Variance measures how spread out the data is. A high variance like this indicates significant difference in smartphone usage time among participants. Standard deviation. The standard deviation is the square root of variance and represents the average amount by the individual data points deviate from the mean. A value of 282.96 shows that participants' usage time varied widely, with some using phone for much longer or shorter duration than the average. Together, this metric paints a clear picture. While most participants spend around an hour on their phone, some use them for far longer or shorter periods, resulting in high variability. Chebyshev's theorem. To understand how much of the data falls within certain ranges, we apply Chebyshev's theorem. It tells us that at least 75% of the data lies between 5.93 and 126.89 minutes. Furthermore, at least 88.9% of the data falls within minus 24.31 and 157.13 minutes. These ranges highlight that most participants use their phones for about 1 to 2 hours, with few extreme cases on either side, either low or short. In conclusion, our study suggests that prolonged smartphone usage before bed may negatively affect focus during morning class. This is a reminder of the importance of mindful smartphone use, especially at night. To improve focus, it is recommended to limit screen time before sleeping. Finally, further studies could explore this relationship in more depth, including psychological matter. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Kalimullah. Now I will explain for the student who said they are not feel less focused during the morning class after using a smartphone late at night. For this, we have used a statistical method, and firstly we have mean, and we use this formula x equals summation of f into xm divided by n. And then for the mean, we have 31.38, which means the student who use 31.38 minute on average, they not feel less focused during their morning class. And next we have median. For the median, we use this formula L equal n divided by 2 minus b divided by z into w. For the median, we have the value 27.34, which means the half of their student using a smartphone for 27.34 minutes and half of using more than that. So now mode. For the mode, we use this formula and we got 22.42 minutes for the mode. That which means majority of students who are not feel less focused during their morning class, they use 22.42 minutes smartphone before going to bed. So next we have variance and standard deviation. For the variance, we use this formula s square is equal n into summation of f into x square m minus summation of f into xm whole square divided by n into n minus 1. For the value, we have 394.83. This shows that there is a considerable variation in the smartphone usage time before bed among the individuals. Next, we have a standard deviation. We simply square root the value of s squared, which the value is 19.87. It shows that the most people use average deviate by 19.87 minutes from the mean. This indicates that some individuals use their smartphone for much more or less than the average. Next.
So now I will explain a run test for responders' gender sequence to determine if the gender of the respondents occur in a random order. So here we have two group. In N1 we have 58 males and in N2 we have 42 males. And for this hypothesis, at first we have to select the null hypothesis. So here the null hypothesis is the gender of the responders happens in the random order. This is our claim. And in the alternative hypothesis is the gender of the response does not happen in the random order. So here at first we have to calculate the CV. So we got here CV and then we have to calculate the number of run. So here is the number of the run is 48 and the expected run, and then we have to calculate the standard deviation. Then we have to calculate the z score. So here the z score is our test value. So after calculating the test value, we can see that our PV is greater than our CV. So that's mean don't reject the null hypothesis, and we can say that there is not enough evidence to reject the claim that the gender of the response happen in the random order. So our null hypothesis is win in this case. So let's go to our next page. So our 11 number question of the survey was, how much has your smartphone use caused your academic performance drop? So we can see that almost 70% people told that for their academic performance drop, there is a reason for using a smartphone. And on the 13 number question, we can see that the question was how hard it is for you to reduce your smartphone use. So here we can see that almost 50%, more than 50% student told that it is very quite hard for them to reduce the smartphone use. So now next is final analysis. So our hypothesis one was students' academic performance depends on their level of smartphone addiction. So from the calculation, we see that the students who spends more time on their mobile phone, their CGPA is quite low, but the students who use mobile phone less, their CGPA is above 3.5. Our hypothesis too was students who use smartphones before bedtime are more likely to experience poor sleep quality and patterns which affect their academic performance. We saw that from the calculation, the students who use more mobile phone before their bedtime, they feel less focused, but the student who use their mobile phone like around 30 minutes, they don't feel less focused during their morning class. Our hypothesis three was students with higher smartphone addiction have lower concentration and learning retention during a study session. So from our survey question 12, we saw that there are some students who sometimes miss their assignments uh, for using a mobile phone a lot. So, in summary, our research found that students with lower grades spend more time on their phones compared to students with higher grades. So, this shows that too much phone use might harm academic performance. And secondly, the people who use a mobile phone late at night too much, their concentration in the morning class is too much low. But the students who does not use too much mobile phone before bed, they feel they can concentrate more in the morning classes. And thirdly, most of the students, almost 74% of students, told that it is very hard for them to reduce the phone uses, and that shows that they have a significance of addiction that harms their focuses and study habits. And lastly, one suggestion is reducing smartphone uses, especially at night, can improve sleep, focus, and their academic performance. So, in conclusion, our research highlights the importance of limiting a smartphone use during the day and before the bedtime to improve the academic performance. This research highlights the importance of managing a smartphone addiction to mitigate its adverse effect. And hopefully, in future, research could look into other factors like the sleep pattern, time management strategies, and social media uses to gain a more complete understanding of how technology affects academic success. So that's all from us. Thank you.